Imagine finding an old penny that has survived through one of the most unforgettable periods in world history. A small American wheat penny that was created during the years of war, sacrifice, and massive change. Today we are exploring three historic Lincoln Wheat Pennies from 1941, 1946, and 1947. These coins are not just pieces of metal. They are tiny time capsules that carry stories from the era of World War II and the years that followed. Think about it. These pennies were circulating when millions of Americans were experiencing one of the most challenging times in history. They passed through the hands of soldiers' families, workers, farmers, and everyday citizens. But the biggest question is, why are collectors still searching for these old wheat pennies decades later? What hidden details make some examples more desirable than ordinary coins? In this video, we will uncover the history, design, unique features, rarity, and collector interest behind these fascinating American treasures. So stay until the end, because that old penny sitting unnoticed in a collection could have a story far more valuable than anyone imagined. Coin number one. What if a small 1-cent coin from the year 1947 could take you back to a time when the world was rebuilding after one of the greatest events in human history? A coin that many people may ignore today could actually be a fascinating piece of America's past. Today we are uncovering the story of the 1947 Lincoln Wheat Penny without a mint mark, a historic American coin that has survived for nearly 8 decades. At first glance, it may look like an ordinary old penny, but every detail on this coin carries a story. This particular wheat penny features a lightly black layer on the front and reverse side, giving it a unique aged appearance. That old surface tells us that this coin has experienced decades of time, circulation, and history. But the biggest question is, could this forgotten penny be more than just 1 cent? Could it be a hidden treasure waiting to be discovered by collectors? Let's travel back to the year 1947. America was entering a new chapter. The Second World War had recently ended. Soldiers were returning home. Industries were changing. And families were beginning to rebuild their lives. During this historic period, millions of Americans carried small coins like this in their pockets every single day. This penny could have traveled through grocery stores, gas stations, workplaces, and family homes. It may have paid for small purchases, sat inside old collections, or been passed down through generations. That is the magic of old coins. They are not just metal objects. They are pieces of history that have quietly survived while the world around them changed. The Lincoln Wheat Penny was already a famous American design. By 1947 first, introduced in 1909, it was created to honor the 100th birthday of President Abraham Lincoln. It became the first regular U.S. circulating coin to feature the portrait of a real person. On the front side of this coin, collectors can see the detailed portrait of Abraham Lincoln facing right. Above his portrait appears the famous phrase, "In God we trust." The word liberty appears beside him, along with the date 1947. Because this coin has no mint mark, it was produced at the Philadelphia Mint. During this era, Philadelphia coins were often released without a mint letter. Now let's look at the reverse side. The classic wheat penny design shows 2 wheat stalks surrounding the words 1 cent and United States of America. Above the design is the traditional motto, E pluribus unum. The wheat stalks represent agriculture, growth, and the hardworking spirit of America. The 1947 wheat penny was made from a composition of 95% copper and 5% tin and zinc. It weighs approximately 3.11 grams, has a diameter of around 19.05 millimeters, and a thickness of about 1.55 millimeters. Although these measurements may seem simple, the real story comes from the journey of each individual coin. Now let's discuss what makes this coin interesting to collectors. Age alone does not always create value. Collectors carefully study a surface condition, original color, strike quality, mint errors, rare varieties, preservation history. A coin that has survived decades with strong details and unusual characteristics can become much more desirable. The lightly black layer on this example gives it a vintage appearance. Natural toning and surface changes can develop over many years, creating a unique look that makes one coin different from millions of others. After nearly 80 years, many 1947 wheat pennies have been lost, damaged, cleaned, or removed from circulation. The examples that remain in attractive condition become important pieces for collectors who appreciate American coin history. Some rare examples and special varieties of wheat pennies have reached extraordinary prices in the collector market. High-end estimates for exceptional examples may reach very large amounts, including claims around $1,000,000, $10,000. But such values depend on verification, rarity, and professional grading. If you discover a 1947 wheat penny, remember one important rule. Never clean an old coin. Cleaning can remove its original surface and reduce collector interest. Instead, store it safely. Handle it carefully by the edges and consider professional evaluation if the coin shows unusual features. Because sometimes the smallest objects can carry the biggest stories. A simple penny from 1947 may have witnessed the rebuilding of America after World War II, passed through countless hands, and survived decades of change. So before you ignore an old wheat penny sitting in a drawer or collection, take a closer look. That little coin may not just be spare change. It may be a historic survivor from another generation. And the next hidden coin treasure could be closer than you think. Coin number 2. Today we are exploring the incredible story of the 1946D Lincoln Wheat Penny with a D mint mark, a historic American 1-cent coin created during the important years after World War II. At first glance, this penny may look like an ordinary old coin. But when collectors look closer, they notice the details that make every historic coin unique. This particular wheat penny features light brown dots on the front side in an almost fine condition, showing the natural aging and character developed through decades of time. But the biggest mystery is, why do collectors continue searching for old wheat pennies like this one? Could a small coin that once had a value of only 1 cent become a remarkable treasure today? Let's travel back to 1946. The world was changing. The Second World War had ended. Soldiers were returning home. Families were rebuilding. And America was entering a new era of growth and opportunity. During this historic period, millions of Americans carried coins like this in their pockets every day. This little penny could have been used at a local store, placed inside a family's savings jar, or passed from one generation to another. Every scratch, every mark, and every color change tells a small part of its journey. That is what makes old coins special. They are not just currency. They are pieces of history. The Lincoln Wheat Penny had already become one of America's most recognizable coins. First introduced in 1909, it honored President Abraham Lincoln and became the first regular circulating U.S. coin to feature the image of a real person. Now let's look closely at the design. On the front side, the coin shows Abraham Lincoln's famous portrait facing right. Above his image are the words, "In God We Trust." The word liberty appears beside him, along with the date 1946. Below the date is the important detail that collectors notice immediately. The letter D. This mint mark tells us that the coin was produced at the Denver Mint. Now let's turn to the reverse side. The classic wheat penny design displays 2 wheat stalks surrounding. The wheat stalks represent America's agricultural strength and the hardworking people who helped build the nation. The 1946D wheat penny was made with a composition of 95% copper and 5% tin and zinc. It weighs approximately 3.11 grams, measures about 19.05 millimeters in diameter, and has a thickness of around 1.55 millimeters. Although these numbers may seem simple, collectors know that the true value of a coin comes from much more than size and weight. They examine condition, surface quality, original color, the mint marks, possible errors, historical importance. The light brown dots visible on this coin give it an aged appearance. Natural changes on old copper coins can create unique patterns that make each example different from another. After nearly 80 years, many 1946D wheat pennies have been lost, damaged, cleaned, or removed from collections. The examples that survive with interesting characteristics become attractive to collectors who appreciate the history behind them. Some exceptional wheat pennies with rare features, unusual errors, or outstanding certified grades have reached very high values in the collector market. High-end estimates, including claims around $1,011,000, depend on verification, rarity, and professional grading. If you ever discover a 1946D wheat penny, remember, cleaning can damage the original surface and reduce collector appeal. Instead, protect the coin, handle it carefully by the edges, and consider having it professionally examined if it shows unusual characteristics. Because sometimes the smallest coins carry the biggest stories. A simple penny from 1946 may have witnessed America's transition from wartime to peace, passed through countless hands, and survived nearly 8 decades of history. So before you ignore an old wheat penny, take a second look. That small piece of copper may not just be an old coin. It may be a forgotten piece of America's past and a treasure waiting to be discovered. Coin number 3. What if a small copper penny from 1941 could take you back to one of the most dramatic moments in world history? A time when the world was changing. Nations were facing uncertainty. And ordinary people were living through events that would be remembered forever. Today we are uncovering the story of the 1941 Lincoln Wheat Penny without a mint mark, a historic American 1-cent coin that survived through decades of change. At first glance, this penny may look like an old piece of copper, but collectors know that every detail matters. This special example features a light green zinc-colored spot on the front side with a black layer condition, creating a unique aged appearance that makes it stand out from ordinary circulated coins. But the real question is, could this forgotten penny be more than just an old coin? Could it be a hidden piece of American history that collectors dream of finding? Let's travel back to 1941. America was standing at the edge of one of the most important periods in history. The world was experiencing major changes, and soon the United States would enter World War II. During this time, millions of Americans carried small coins like this in their pockets every day. This penny may have been used in local stores, carried by workers, saved by families, or forgotten inside old collections. Imagine the journey of this tiny coin. It may have traveled through cities, farms, and homes, while history was being written around it. That is what makes old coins fascinating. They are not just currency. They are time capsules. The Lincoln Wheat Penny had already become a symbol of American history. Introduced in 1909 to celebrate the 100th anniversary of Abraham Lincoln's birth, it became the first regular U.S. circulating coin featuring the portrait of a real person. Now let's examine the design. On the front side, the coin shows the famous portrait of Abraham Lincoln facing right. Above his image are the words, "In God we trust." The word liberty appears beside him, along with the date 1941. Because this coin has no mint mark, it was produced at the Philadelphia Mint, which did not place a mint letter on its Lincoln cents during this period. Now turn the coin over. The reverse side displays the classic wheat penny design. 2 wheat stalks surround the words, 1 cent, and United States of America, e pluribus unum. The wheat design represents agriculture, strength, and the hardworking spirit of America. The 1941 Lincoln Wheat Penny was made from 95% copper and 5% tin and zinc. It weighs approximately 3.11 grams, has a diameter of about 19.05 millimeters, and a thickness of around 1.55 millimeters. These measurements may be standard, but every surviving coin develops its own unique identity over time. Now let's talk about what makes this coin interesting to collectors. The light green zinc-colored spot and black surface layer create a distinctive appearance. Natural aging, environmental exposure, and storage conditions can change the look of copper coins over many decades. Collectors carefully examine original surfaces, the color and toning, strike quality, mint errors, and condition, historical importance. After more than 80 years, many 1,941 wheat pennies have been lost, damaged, cleaned, or removed from circulation. The examples that survive with unusual features become attractive to collectors who appreciate the story behind each coin. Some exceptional wheat pennies with rare characteristics, unusual errors, or outstanding certified grades have reached significant values in the collector market. High-end estimates, including examples around $113,000, depend on rarity, authentication, and professional grading. If you ever find a 1941 wheat penny, remember one important rule. Never clean an old coin. Cleaning can damage the original surface and remove the natural history that collectors value. Instead, keep it protected, hold it carefully by the edges, and consider professional evaluation if you notice unusual details. Because sometimes the smallest coins carry the greatest stories. A simple penny from 1941 may have survived a world at war, passed through countless hands, and remained as a reminder of a different era. So before you ignore an old wheat penny sitting in a drawer, take a closer look. That small copper coin may not just be 1 cent, It may be a historic survivor, a collector's discovery, and a fascinating piece of America's past.